Hi, folks. This is Mountain Man coming to you from parts unknown. Well, how is everyone doing tonight? Are you ready for the little ghosts and goblins? I don't think I'm. I didn't get any ghosts and goblins. They'd have to walk too far to maybe get a chocolate bar, but I like my chocolate. I don't part with it. I'm an old grump. But anyway, I've gotten past my 30 seconds where I got to be careful. Let's see. How you doing, Lucy? Diane, how are you? Pappy Two Bears. Nice to see you all. Well, I don't have enough room in the title when I type in what I'm going to talk about this evening, but I put spooky times, real life crime. It's going to be a lot of stuff. The greatest stories. I put story or stories because there are stories out there that haven't been told, that are going to be told, I predict are going to be told, that are going to blow the socks off of people once everything starts coming to the fore. Lone Wolf, how are you doing? Thank you for helping me out on Buy Me a Coffee last night. Or the other night. Hi, Finding Dory. Damon, how are you doing? So I do have a couple of things that I didn't talk about last night because I wasn't too sure about them. One of them is that I had heard that there were 500 Americans in Gaza. Now I thought to myself, okay, is that accurate? You know, is that something to just inflame passions? That's not true. Um, Something misinformation to stall a possible ground invasion or whatever. So I said, well, I'll wait till I hear a little more about it. Well, the White House came out today and said, yes, there was indeed 500 Americans uh, in Gaza, and it's not looking good for them. Jimmy Carter had the Iranian hostages. I forget the exact number, was over 200. It brought down his presidency. Um, same players, same players. Hamas is interchangeable with Iran. So here we go. Sandy, how are you doing? Gloria, how are you? Lisa, Zoe, hi, Mike. Miss Mendersue, nice to see you. Bubba, how you doing, Bubba? Hi, Ken. Hi, Kim. Outlandish. So everybody's rolling in, rubber toes here, Bubba's here. Good. We got everybody coming in. Well, the other thing that happened, Marla, how are you doing? The other thing that happened is Angel's here. Hi, Angel. Just hi, Nikki. There you are, honey. How you doing? So, hi, Sissy. So, the other thing that happened is, among other things, hi, Hilarious. Yes, I saw your comment earlier. I'm going to be heartened and respond to the comments, but it's as we keep saying, there's so much going on all day, every day. It's hard to keep up with stuff. But we had a situation. I would say, luckily, well, I will say, luckily, it didn't come to fruition, but somebody else apparently was planning on doing harm to people with a pew pew and a some homemade BOMBs. Okay, a mass situation, MASS. So it didn't happen. I'll read you part of the article about that. The person apparently decided to punch their own clock rather than go through with it. So, that stuff has been bubbling up. That would be we had the one who attacked the judge, and then it ended up punching his own clock. Then we had the guy who went in the bowling alley. He punched his own clock. Then we had that kid in Florida. Well, he's 22-year-old. And, that was equal to like one story, one weekend in Chicago, what happened in Florida. 2 people, unfortunately, checked out, and a number wounded. But I had heard that night that I think all but 5 of them that were released from the hospital, and the ones who remained were not in critical condition, but they were injured. So it wasn't as bad as it could have been. But then again, you have this story about this person. He was in his 20s, and he was going to a like an amusement park type situation. He got there early. I'll read over in the article, but he ended up going in one of the restrooms, and that's where he was found. So hopefully if I missed anybody, I apologize. Hi, Alan. How are you doing? Hi, Reba. Debbie. Let's see. Sometimes we get more than one person with the same name. Hi, MES. How are you doing? Ian, nice to see you. So that and Catherine Herridge, I used to talk about her quite a bit. Catherine Herridge, back when the 17th letter was telling us to follow the pen. And I got a notification, but I just want to let you know I can see the notifications now fairly quickly. And I'm saying that because I want to thank Norm. Norm came in twice to buy me a coffee, and it wasn't during live stream. So I set my notifications so they would come on while I was live, so I could give shout outs to people from buying me a coffee. And when you listen, Norm, I want to thank you for helping sponsor the program. And somebody stepped in and helped out with the program. I do appreciate it. But anyway, so if you do put a message in there, I should be able to read it on screen while I am doing my live stream. I don't know. We'll see how it works. Hi, Marilyn. How are you? Outlandish. This trail mix has way too many raisins. Oh, my goodness. Well, I read that because when I saw trail, it made me think of that story of the person who ended their world rather than get involved in doing something because they had to go to a secluded area that people use for recreation, and but a busy time of the year for fall. And they had brought, as the news always describes, an AR-15 style rifle, and as I mentioned, some homemade BOOM devices. Hi, Marilyn. How are you? So anyway, let me get some of these stories. And people have been commenting on Chutkin doing her new gag order, and what's his name? Eric Holder. If you remember Eric Holder, he was Obama's attorney general. And called himself Obama's wingman. And he was cited for contempt of Congress and never got in any trouble. But he was given an interview on Jen Psaki's program, whatever the name of that program is. And he said, he used two varies. I would be very, very hesitant to jail Trump for a violation of the gag order, especially as he's a leading Republican candidate. So that was the day after Jen Psaki had Andrew Weissman and some other creepo from the Obama administration. All three of them on the screen were former Obama administration creepos. So they get jobs with mainstream media and continue to pump out the DNC talking points, which is a nice way of saying propaganda. So anyway, I believe he came out because I think they're walking into a trap if they do something to Trump like that. Because Jesse Waters had it on his show that Trump was more dangerous to them in jail than not. So I think he's coming out to throw some cold water on this. I think it's Obama sending him out as an emissary or a messenger to indirectly let them know that ain't going to work. So, but they're definitely planning on it. If they could get away with it, they would. And I don't know what the reactions would be or how they would even handle it. But I do have some bad news. And I heard this yesterday. I didn't get into it. I didn't want to wrap up the program with something like this, especially with the background reporting that 500 Americans were in Gaza. Well, remember, after the attack on Gaza, there was a lot of footage of people getting kidnapped, or, a lot of terrible footage. And there was that young lady that was in the back of a truck. And it turned out everybody thought she probably didn't make it, but it turned out she did make it. Her mother was putting out pleas for her. And I showed on one of my last broadcasts a picture where they were bandaging her arm. You remember that? Her name was Sharon Luke. And she was a German-Israeli citizen. And she was saying in a brief video interview that she was being treated well while someone was wrapping her arm. And, a lot of us knew that she was not treated well. Now, maybe the people she got handed off to that was giving her medical attention were treating her well. But we know she probably went through quite a bit. Well, anyway, she reports are, and her family has confirmed it, that they ended her life. And they did it in a way, I've got to think about guidelines and everything. But like Marie Antoinette, I'll put it that way. Now, if I was talking about Marie Antoinette in a historical sense, it wouldn't be a problem. We all know what happened to Marie Antoinette. We also know they don't have that the French used guillotines during the French Revolution. That's common knowledge. Not going to step on anybody's toes, but they don't have those over there, so they used another method to achieve the same result. And Israeli president confirms this. So confirms that German Israel citizen Shani Luke, whose body was seen in the back of a truck, was, I'll just say it one time, maybe I won't get in trouble, beheaded by Hamas terrorists. So there's a picture of her, and it's horrible. It's horrible. And I didn't want to say anything when I showed the photos of her getting her arm bandaged, but I thought to myself, I really couldn't see where they would allow her to be free with no constraints on her speech. I think she would have had a horrible story to tell, and I didn't think she was going to get back then. So, but I kept my mouth shut. And it happened. So, let me see. Do we really know what's going on? Debbie says. Let me see. Hi, Henri. How are you? So anyway, that is a terrible story. It's a sad story, and but there's 500 Americans that are under the same horrible situation. Now, this close call, I'll say, was reported in the New York Post. And just so happens Mr. T is not real happy with the New York Post, they've been changing their reporting on Mr. T, but I'll get to that in a minute. But they did report this. Heavily armed man punched his own clock, I'll say, rather than carry out an attack at a Colorado amusement park. Colorado's in the news also because they're trying to kick Trump off the ballot there. And the story goes that a heavily armed man ended himself rather than carry out an apparent plan to pew up a mountaintop amusement park in Colorado. He was discovered in a bathroom next to the words scrawled on the wall, "I am not a KILLNNER." Okay. His name was Diego Barajas Medina, 20. Found unalive in a woman's bathroom, Tavern's Adventure Park. I don't know if any of you all have ever heard of that. But apparently it's a busy time of the year, and it would have been very bad. He died of a self-inflicted wound to the head, and you know how Garfield County coroner said. He apparently entered the park while it was closed, armed with an AR-style rifle, a semi-automatic handgun, and explosives, and was wearing body armor and tactical clothing, similar to what a police SWAT team member might wear. Oh my gosh. Well, his message said, I am not a KILLER. I just want to get into the caves. A weird message. So there's some suspicion as to what does this mean? He was obviously dressed for trouble. So it was written on a wall of the bathroom where he was found lying on the floor. Nearby was the handgun and boom devices, some real and some fake. The rifle was on a counter nearby, along with a duty belt holding several ammunition magazines. The sheriff could not say for certain whether the person in question actually wrote the message. So there's a little mystery there. There were no prior indications, either at home or at school, suggesting he was planning an attack, the sheriff said. But he noted investigators have not conducted in-depth interviews yet. The FBI will review his phone records and social media postings as part of the investigation. Now, I figured people would already be all over this, his social media, and trying to find out what they could. But apparently, nothing's been going on with that. Given the preparation, this is the sheriff talking, the amount of weapons and ordnance he had, it almost seemed very highly likely he intended to use those against the community. He chose not to. Also, he had a vehicle there. They found it, and inside the vehicle were some improvised boom devices. And they searched the rest of the park and didn't find anything else. He was removed Sunday after the scene was deemed safe. So he changed his mind, apparently, and he scrawled that message on the wall, or maybe he didn't. The park would have been crowded on a fall weekend during hunting season, when people go to the mountains to see the changing autumn colors. Given the isolated location, visitors take a gondola to the mountain normally. It had been difficult to get anybody wounded to the hospital. He was from the nearby town of Carbondale, where he lived with his mother and brother. I don't know if any of you all are familiar with this park or the area. He was in a list of high school graduates published in a local newspaper in 2021. In a search of his room, found nothing, no other materials for boom making or anything like that. So there's some weird stuff going on here. And the fact that we haven't heard about it, the mainstream media, they went and searched the house and they didn't find any evidence that he made the devices that he had. You're going to leave some kind of trace of that stuff. So nobody's reported on that I know of, except the New York Post. They're not sure if he wrote the message. They can't find anything offhand that put up any alarms. And it goes on to say the weapons found were ghost guns, which do not have serial numbers and cannot be traced. His clothing had patches and emblems that gave the appearance that he was associated with law enforcement. That's odd. Some of the suspected explosive turned out to be fakes, including several that looked like hand grenades, but others were real. There was no evidence to suggest that anything had been placed elsewhere inside the park, and he drove up to the park on a service road. So anyway, it's on a mountain above the Colorado River in western Colorado. And they talk about what kind of attractions they have there, rides and things like that. So, well, that's weird. That's the message, that he is not a Killer, and he just wanted to go in the caves. And then apparently he ended it for himself. Oh, 2.5 years in jail? Good. Yeah, I saw that, Nikki. They're going to try and take him off in Michigan. Hi, Doc. How you doing? Christina, how you doing? So, hi, Robin. We'll write Papa Trump in. Oh, kicking bird. It's the last day of Red October. Maybe we've been through six Octobers. Go part of the Red Sea for Moses. Red Sea moment. I don't know. Yeah, what was in the caves? I don't know. Very odd. And I have any of you ever heard the story other than what I've talked about, that not the Washington Post, the New York Post reported? If he would have done something, they would have blasted it all over the news. But since it was a failed attempt, they're totally silent about it. I don't know, hilarious. He was planning on, and watch that word, Kill, use ones instead of I's, because I've been spelling that word for a reason. One. One slip up away. And then we'll all be on Bumble, or unless y'all just don't want to see me no more. Hi, the cat. How you doing? So anyway, we'll see if there's anything more to that story defending it. Developing. Mike Johnson gave a Fox News interview, and he's reaffirming his faith. He's not rubbing it in people's faces. But hi, Tennessee, how are you doing? In the Pew Pew incident in Delaware. Yeah, but how you doing, White Lightning? Yeah, he did. Frank banned me, but he put me back up because I was right. His broadcast was echoing. Frank has got a hair trigger. I messaged him on True Social. How you doing, Rick? And Anyway, Mike Johnson said, I'm not trying to establish Christianity as a national religion. That's not what this is about. If you believe in the Bible commands and seek to follow those, it is impossible to be a hateful person. So that's a reasonable statement. And he went on to say, of course, they're asking him about Gaza, they're asking about Ukraine aid. If you put this to the American people and weigh the two needs, this is after he took money out of the budget to put it towards this aid business. He said, if you put this to the American people and they weigh the two needs, I think they will say standing with Israel and protecting the innocent is more immediate need than IRS agents. So that's a pretty smart move there, because, a lot of people have their opinions on what's going on in Israel and how much we should help or whatever. Israel is an ally, and we have treaties, and what happened is what happened. And I see this Citizens Free Press put up a photograph of people's homes in Italy are being spray painted with the Star of David. We got a very disturbing worldwide pro-jihad movement going on. That's very disturbing. And it's mostly by recent arrivals, I'll say. That was in Italy, but in Paris, France, the same day we get a report that a veiled woman screaming Allahu snack bar, allegedly threatening to blow up Paris metro. The woman was dressed in Islamic veil and threatening to blow herself up along with the train. And the police ended that crisis. I'll put it that way. She's no longer answering her phone, however you want to put it. So let's see. I'll just look through the chats here. White Lightning, how you doing? Yeah, just I'll stick up for Frank a little bit. He does get a lot of people causing trouble in his chats, and that's why he might have a hair trigger finger. So I'll stick up for him on that. I enjoy his programs. Let me see. Here's a new one. Hi, Rowdy. How you doing? Propaganda, you say? Don't see any other posts from you, so I don't know what to connect that to. But there sure is a lot of that stuff going on. Hi, Jerry Lee. Jerry Lee said, oh, my. Jerry Lee has planted his flag. And it is well, I don't know about that, about Israel creating Hamas. I remember the Fatah movement, the Palestinian Liberation Organization, and they were headed up by Yasser Arafat in the 70s, 80s, on even up to the 90s. And whoever started Hamas, they're linked right in with Iran. So, if there were some people, America started a lot of stuff too, with people in the C dot I dot, and the last one is A, right? I'm sure they started a lot of groups out of that organization that the majority of Americans would wish they would have not have started. So it wouldn't be fair to say that Americans created these groups just because we know we got troublemakers in the three-letter agency I just said. People that don't have our good in mind. Kennedy knew that and made no bones about it in a public speech that he would break it into 1,000 pieces and spread it to the wind. And we know what happened to Kennedy. So that's an American organization, C.I.A. But that doesn't mean that what happens is what Americans want to happen. Right? Yeah. Who's that? Melvita said, close the border. That's right. Well, where's that one post somebody put up? Mayorkas admits that more than 500,000 undocumented migrants disappeared into America in 2023. He said, I believe the number is over 600,000. Well, that's a little light. That's a little light. I think we had 260,000 last month, in 1 month, on border apprehensions, which is catch and release. And the person that posted that figure said 0 of them have any intentions of coming to their court date. Yeah, Ron Paul expose Hamas. He's going to expose a lot. Did you all hear the latest thing about Dr. Fauci that came out in a couple hours ago? Now I got to be careful how I say it. But here we go. Revealed. This is by the Daily Mail. And it came out about, I guess, 6:30 tonight about bats. Okay. The C of a CV Iris. All right. Anthony Fauci run LAB in Montana experimented with a certain strain of an illness shipped in from CHYNA before the problems began. Okay. Did y'all catch that? And they have proof here that this W.U. Hahn Institute, okay, they sent it to a wildlife preserve that was 7 miles away from Camp David. 7 miles away from Camp David. And then they shipped it to Montana. The sample, you get what I'm talking about? And that's where they put them in bats in Montana. A lab that Dr. Ouchie was associated with. Anyway, without me getting in big trouble, you get the gist of it. This is a bombshell. This is huge. This is the kind of stuff that gets people the most severe penalty you can get, if you get my drift. So we'll see. That was reported in the Daily Mail. We'll see how more reports come out. This was called a Kecoughtan Wildlife Preserve, which was 7 miles away from Camp David. They sent 12 bats to a Montana lab, which was called Rocky Mountain Laboratories. They experimented on the bats with what they got from CHYNA. The way Mr. T used to say it, China. All that's tied to Dr. Ouchie. Before we had the first lockdowns and mask wearing and all that stuff. So that's big. That's real big. And now maybe we know why, even though Ouchie is not a employee of the government, why he's surrounded or accompanied by U.S. Marshals 24 hours a day. Because I believe he's in custody, and he has been in custody, in my opinion. Well, let me see here. Last operating U.S. prison ship, a grim vestige of mass incarceration, is set to close in New York City. A large barge in New York that held people for Rikers Island. And I thought that article was interesting because are they going to move it somewhere? Is it going to be used somewhere else for another purpose? I don't know. But it's today is the last day of it operating. Docked in the shallow waters off an industrial edge of the South Bronx, the Vernon C. Bain Correctional Center is a 5-story jail barge that stretches the length of 2 football fields, resembling a container ship stacked with cargo. So they're going to move it somewhere. They're not going to, and it's going to be continue to be the possession of the Department of Corrections. So I'm just wondering if it's going to be reassigned somewhere. Thank you, Nikki. Yeah, this is a viewer-supported and creator-supported channel only. I don't get anything from any of these platforms other than um, support from the viewers and myself. There's a list of everybody that's helped with the channel. I mentioned earlier that Norm came in and helped me out, and I didn't even know it because I had redone my settings so I could know when people do something live. So I got a link in the description if somebody wants to help out. And thank you, Norm, and thank you, Lone Wolf, for helping out. Whoa. Holy cow. I don't want to drop off the stream. Whoopsie. So, anyway, let me see what's going on in the chats. So, Robin, you said you had some radiation. I hope that my mother went through that years ago. For lung cancer. And she survived. She survived almost 20 years. Hi, Karen. How are you doing? Green just announced on the squad at the Capitol it's coming. Well, we'll see. I think they ought to expel her from Congress. But I tell you, what I had put in there, did you know that Rudy Giuliani had 2 attempts on him? He's directly tied to his investigating the Ukraine situation. He's had more attempts on himself than that. But I put in there greatest stories never told and true crime reality. I tell you, there's going to be Dinesh D'Souza is going to be making more movies when this is over with. The stories that Rudy Giuliani was telling would be fit for a Hollywood movie. He had 2 attempts made on him. One in, they were both in 2018 and in different countries. And the people were arrested and convicted. March and June of 2018, they made an attempt on him in Albania and Belgium. Iranians were involved. And he said it's all part of the record, and U.S. media didn't report a bit of it. He also was telling a story where he had a lady that he was trying to get in touch with the Department of Justice that could pull up on a computer the bank accounts used by the Bidens to get this bribe money, but she was afraid, and she had to go into hiding, and nobody ever worked with her, and she could track the money from Latvia, Croatia, all right into Joe Biden's bank account. So he's got a lot of stories, and there's other things he brought up that made me think. They're trying to take his law license in 2 different states. we were talking about Lin Wood. He's another one that I didn't bring up. When you can add him into the ones that are being cleared off the board. Okay, he turned his law license in because you got Eastman is fighting in California. They're trying to disbar him in California. You got Rudy Giuliani. They're trying to disbar New York, and I forget which other state, maybe Florida, because Trump's in Florida. And I said that what everybody was doing, like Sidney Powell and all the other people we talked about, they're stopping loss of money and emotional stress that's unnecessary. And Lin Wood turning his license in, he's got plenty of money. He's retired. He's given them no way to attack him because he's turned his license in. So how are they going to try to have him disbarred? So a lot of people are just in the foxhole. Let's put it that way in this battle. Not Giuliani. He's going to fight it out. The two lightning rods are going to be DJT or have been DJT and Rudy Giuliani. The rest are trying to clear the board to keep it keep unnecessary loss and stress to a minimum. But what Giuliani was saying was just what we talked about a couple of weeks ago when I said disbar the Bar Association. I said the Bar Association needs to be disbarred. And he discussed some mechanisms to do just that. That what the Bar Association is doing is criminal, okay? And that there needs to be some action taken by Congress to disband these bar associations that have been infiltrated, compromised, is the term he used, just like the teachers' unions. They've been compromised by anti-American, counterculture, Marxists, and communists. So this stuff is coming up, and these stories are going to get told. So I think Dinesh D'Souza and Catherine Herridge are going to be big in getting these stories out. And she is being threatened with jail if she doesn't disclose some of her sources. Now you look at what's happened with the media. Every time they never even act like they have sources. They just talk about rumors. A friend of a friend said something. But they want Catherine Herridge's sources. She's not giving it up, and they're threatening her with jail. Hi, B. Mitch. How you doing? That's right. Jerry Lee, British accredited registry. So, you know, we know about Giuliani telling the story about that prosecutor Shokin. They actually tried to poison him. They did poison him, but they didn't poison him enough. I mean, these are Hollywood, old Hollywood, before it really got corrupted. Here it is. Good morning, everyone. This guy said, a quick reminder, we just set another record for apprehensions at the border last month, southern border, 269,000 in 1 month. Most are being allowed into the country with zero plans on leaving. So Mayorkas is saying that for 2023, 600,000, when in just 1 month that we had over almost 300,000 in 1 month. I was going to say 250,000. That reminds me of they're still talking garbage about Clarence Thomas and that RV. So we're going to keep an eye on that. But how many of you all remember what was his name? He ran for president and he got pointed out for millions of dollars. John Edwards. Y'all remember John Edwards? He kept talking about the veterans living under a bridge, and he never would tell anybody where the bridge was. But anyway, Mrs. Mellon, okay, the widow, a very wealthy widow from the Mellon family, was giving him pillowcases full of money. And he never got in a bit of trouble for that. So if they want to talk about an RV loan that Clarence Thomas had, he had to pay like $20,000 in interest for a year. Every year, the interest charges were $20,000, and I think after like 8 years, the guy just forgave the loan. And anyway, they're thinking of everything they can do to go after what Trump is going to have to utilize. He's have to utilize the Supreme Court. One of the first cases that's going to get to the Supreme Court about Trump is this gag order, this illegal gag order. Well, about an hour before I came up, I had another report from the Daily Mail. General Hospital and Days of Our Lives star. I remember General Hospital. My grandmother used to call those my stories. I got to watch my stories. And this is a guy, Tyler Christopher, passed away at 50. Ex-husband of Eva Longoria, an actor who appeared on General Hospital and Days of Our Lives, passed away following a cardiac arrest at a San Diego apartment. So I saw this article pop up about an hour before I went live. 50 years old. And this is just on the heels of what's his name from Friends at 54. That's right, Lori. I got to watch my stories. Oh, I missed my stories. We'd say, hey, you want to go out and get some lunch? Oh, my stories are coming on. That's right. Soap operas ruined marriages back in the day. Yeah, but they're child's play compared to what is coming on now. I hope they reform the internet quite a bit. And Ron DeSantis is taking a beating for his cowboy boots. You know what? If he'd wore a pair of jeans, I used to do that a lot. I used to have jeans and my blazer. That's why I used to be 7 days a week in a suit and tie, and then there was a period in my life, and then I went to jeans and a blazer. And if he'd had jeans on, he wouldn't have got caught. But I mean, those dress pants and brown cowboy boots, was the stupidest looking thing anyway. But then people put it together that he put lifts in his shoes. And anyway, Trump campaign response to Bootgate calls it the, quote, kiss of death for DeSantis. And so put a meme out where DeSantis is walking across the stage with his dress pants flapping around and all these boots. And then they have him walking forward, and then they reverse the video where he's walking backwards, and then have him walking forwards. And while they're doing that, they're playing the Bee Gees. You can tell by the way I use my walk. And it's just funny as hell. And so Trump said, instead of telling the truth and just being comfortable in his own skin, he resorts to borderline psychotic behavior by lying to the American people. So, he's not going to recover from that. I mean, you know, you put yourself in a position to be caught in a fib and get mocked about something like that, you're never going to live it down. I mean, they may hang on to him, I'm sure, in Florida. A lot of people like him. But as far as a national politician, I think he's pretty much put the kibosh on himself with that stunt. So Nikki sent me this, some guy named Jamison Daniel said Governor Ron DeSantis is 5'6". And he said, coincidentally, the record for dung stacking is 66 inches. So he's going to endure that. I mean, what do? You can't ever go anywhere with tennis shoes on if you're really 5'6" and been telling everybody you're 5'11" or 6 feet. You know, what's he gonna do? He'll have to stay in those cowboy boots. If they have pictures of him going to the beach, he'll be wearing them cowboy boots with his Speedos. So anyway, here's something, fun fact. In 1951, this guy named David Berg tweeted this out. In 1951, Bolivia gave refuge to Klaus Barbie. Have you all ever heard that name, Klaus Barbie? Head of the Gestapo in Lyon, France, who personally, I'll just say, did terrible things to Jewish people. Klaus Barbie, he was in occupied France. 4 years after he was sentenced to the ultimate penalty for war crimes in absentia, he fled to Bolivia. He became a wealthy Bolivia arms dealer and was appointed lieutenant colonel in the Bolivian army. Well, guess what happened today? Bolivia just broke diplomatic relations with Israel. And Bolivia is on the Brazil border, on the it would be southeastern border of Brazil. Oh, I see what you're saying, Christina. We'll see what happens with that. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I wouldn't lose my my mind with happiness or sadness. on anything that happens. I'm ready for anything. I'm ready for doors to fly open in the courtroom and prosecutors being put in handcuffs. Anything from that to Gerald Ford being attacked in the Mediterranean. I mean, I don't know what could happen. I know things are going to pop off. Time is running out. Time is running out on where we were warned about Iran getting a nuclear weapon, and that cannot be allowed. That's going to have to be stopped by force. We've been warned about WW3 popping off. Something's going to pop off. Richard said, I don't know why would Bolivia even care. Why would they take a top NAZI, right? Back in the 50s, early 1950s, and give them a position in their government? Twitter, now X, suspends Hezbollah official account, and it shows a picture, account suspended, Hezbollah. What took them so long? Elon Musk calls out George Soros. In my opinion, he fundamentally hates humanity. He's doing things that erode the fabric of civilization. That was on the Joe Rogan program. And he said also Republicans on the Twitter platform were suppressed at 10 times the rate of Democrats. 10-1 suppression of Republicans on Twitter. That's right, Robin. I'm more afraid of our own people doing things. Yeah. We've got dysphoric American citizens on top of jihadists that we don't even know who and where they are, on top of organized political groups that have practiced violence in the past. We've got a dangerous mix domestically. Elon Musk calls downtown San Francisco, quote, the end of civilization. Musk describes the area around X as, quote, a zombie apocalypse. Musk says he bought Twitter so the former company couldn't, quote, propagate the mind virus to Earth. You all know that Elon Musk agreed to give internet service to the Gaza Strip. He was saying for humanitarian purposes. I don't know, Diane. Today's the day, October 31st, 2023. Whoa. Yeah, I don't think Israel would care about Bolivia either, but for some reason they were harboring high-level NAZIs. We know Argentina was also. And, you know, I'm sure they played a big role in Operation Paperclip, which directly affects our country and our civilization, really. So Lauren Boebert put out a tweet about what Johnson had done with that aid of the Israeli foreign aid bill. She said it was crafted brilliantly
14.3 billion paid for from IRS funds. We can't spend unlimited money. We're 33 trillion in debt. The money has to come somewhere, and it should come from the IRS. Which is being weaponized against the public. Now Democrats can decide if they prefer helping our allies in Israel or targeting Americans with the IRS. I told you that Speaker Johnson era would be different. So, yeah, they're showing the difference. Let me see. Yeah, Mary, we've seen the prices of everything, not just turkeys, but everything. So they arrested a guy for supposedly threatening somebody in Georgia. We'll get into that. He says he's not guilty. They telephoned Tish James's office, I guess, and before Trump was indicted, and said some stupid things, but he's out on bail. But you know, everybody's got to be careful. I can't say that enough. An Alabama man indicted on federal charges. He threatened violence against a Georgia prosecutor and sheriff. He was indicted October 25th, and the indictment was unsealed Monday, yesterday. And here's some quotes what he said. Told him, well, if you're alone, you better be looking over your shoulder. He left a message on a voicemail for Fannie Willis. He said she has to watch out. She won't always have people around her who can protect her, and there would be moments when she'd be vulnerable. Quote, when you charge Trump on that fourth indictment, anytime you're alone, be looking over your shoulder. So not the most brilliant thing anyone could ever say. And I guess he got bail because the reporter talked to him, and he said, it's all a bunch of expletive. That's all it is. Nobody was ever going to hurt anybody ever, to my knowledge. He's 59 years old. He made an initial appearance in Huntsville, Alabama, and scheduled to be formally arraigned in Atlanta on November 13th. So, yeah. Don't give him a reason. Don't give him a reason to grab hold of you. Let's see. Henri said, got milk? No, I got God. Oh, really, Mary? They laced it with the F drug, candy. Well, I'd be leery unless I knew the people. You know, if I knew the people, I'd let the kids get dressed up like Frankenstein or whatever, and or the Hulk or Spider-Man or whatever, and let them go to a friend's house. You know who the people are. I would never let my kids be getting anything out of a stranger's house in this crazy ass world we're living in right now. Speaking of that fentanyl, Grady Judd, another thing that was about an hour or so before I went live, they seized 10 kilograms of it down there in Florida, and he had just posted a video about it. Holy cow, Richard, the pound of butter in Nebraska goes for $7. All right, people are saying good night. Well, yeah, I am over an hour, aren't I? Gaming with the Bros. What is the Strem? The Strem is just me babbling about the news and how crazy the world has gotten. And $9 chickens and $7 pounds of butter is what we're talking about now. And fentanyl lace candy. And anything you want to throw in there, Gaming with the Bros, as long as it's family friendly. I'll put it that way. So, yeah, people getting locked up for leaving messages for judges. Prosecutors they shouldn't be leaving. Oh, here's a story from the Daily Beast. I'll go over it tomorrow. That's right, Robin. Butter is better made at home. It's easy. Henri, you got backyard chickens. Good for you. So anyway, I encourage you guys, if you want to check out and hear some good stories that Rudy Giuliani was telling some good inside stuff that we're going to be hearing about. And I think the whole world is going to be hearing about it. Intrigue, good enough for any Tom Clancy novel, any James Bond movie. All right, folks. Well, I appreciate y'all spending your precious time with me. And we'll be getting together soon. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when I go live. And anybody who watches the stream afterwards, I do appreciate you all tuning in. So I'll be posting maybe tomorrow if there's real good news to talk about. But usually I don't post Wednesdays. But you never would know when I get a notion. Okay. So I'll be posting soon. I'll be talking to y'all soon. I hope y'all have a great night and a safe Halloween. And we'll be keeping an eye on things as they go along. Keep your chins up. The best is yet to come. This is Mountain Man, over and out.